I will now call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Texas Southmost College District. Trustees present are Dr. Tony Zavaleta, Seba Alejandro, Ms. Adela Garza, Ms. Delia Sainz, Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, Mr. J.J. De Leon, and myself. Also present is Dr. Jesus Roberto Rodriguez, our president. I'll call on Dr. Zavaleta to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yes, of course. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, one and indivisible.
Indivisible.
As a teacher, we have to recite it every single day.
Someone's asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, somebody.
We should know.
Public comments. No public comments. Item number 4, presentations. We will have the Rotary Club of the City of Brownsville Sunrise Rotary Club. I'll call on Ms. Ana Pugnat Garcia, President, and Lisandro Garcia, Treasurer, to present the item.
Good evening, Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ana Pugnat Garcia, and I am the club president of the Rotary Club of Brownsville Sunrise. We also have present some club board members. We have our satellite club from Rancho Viejo Chair, Sam Garcia. We have our club members, Dr. Ray Garcia, Ruben Peña, and David Tomlinson also present. Like Texas Southmost College, Rotary International has a vested interest in supporting education, and it is one of our main initiatives. Because of this, the Rotary Club of Brownsville Sunrise makes it a top priority to support our local educational institutions when possible, even through a pandemic. Thanks to our fundraising efforts with our parking lot project during Charo Days, which involves an incredible partnership from TSC and from our most recent Honor Our Heroes flag project at Veterans Park, we're happy to be here today to make a contribution to Texas Southmost College. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Brownsville Sunrise, I'd like to present Texas Southmost College with a check for $2,000 to go towards scholarships to your students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It comes back to us.
Yes.
Is there any way that we could get a quick photo?
course.
That's what we're doing.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Dr. Ray.
Yeah, I see him back there. Yeah. I'm just a little slow.
It's stand anywhere.
And in the center, y'all can just a little bit closer in. There we go, perfect. All right. There. All right, Mr. President, would you like to be on this side? Yes, sir. Bring it out a little bit. Yes, and then give it I feel no soul.
Perfect. All right, here we go, ready? Let's take a few. 1, 2, 3. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3. Just check that. Okay, great. Got it. Great.
Cybersecurity.
Now I know.
Yes, now you remember.
And then we have another presentation, right? Oh my God. Brownsville Chamber.
For many of you in the audience that don't know Dr. Ray Garcia, he was a board member at TSC. Thank you, Dr. Ray.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Rotary.
Next item on the agenda is item number 5, President's Report.
Thank you, Chair Herrera, Board of Trustees. I would like to start by recognizing Oscar Hernandez, Executive Director of Institutional Research and Compliance and Interim Associate Vice President of Student Services. He was invited by SAC COC to serve on the Offsite Reaffirmation Committee. The Offsite Reaffirmation Committee will meet from April 19th to the 20th of this year. The committee will review 3 colleges, 1 from Alabama and 2 from Georgia. Mr. Hernandez's primary role on the committee will be to review areas related to institutional effectiveness. I would like to thank Mr. Hernandez for agreeing to serve on the committee. Your participation on this committee not only helps SAC COC to do their important work, it also helps Texas Southmost College to stay up to date on what committees look for in their offsite and onsite reaffirmation. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Did he have a choice?
He was, yes, ma'am, he had a choice, right, Mr. Hernandez? He had a choice.
Well, but the honor to work with SAC COC has to be tremendous. We want to thank you, and we want to congratulate you, Mr. Hernandez.
I would also like to congratulate TSC Department Chair for Construction, Manufacturing, and Transportation Technology, Mr. George Garcia, on having his paper on career and technical education pathways published recently by the Association for Advancement of Computing in Education. Mr. Garcia's paper titled CTE Pathways, Integration of College and Career Preparation Programs to Increase STEM Career Interest Among High School Students was originally presented in October at the Society for Information Technology and Teacher Education Interactive Online Conference. So once again, congratulations, Mr. Garcia. Furthermore, I would like to report that our TSC procurement team, under the leadership of Patricia Saldivar, was awarded the Texas Association of School Business Officials Award of Merit for Purchasing Operation. The award recognizes institutions that are committed to following professional standards in the acquisition of goods and services. Texas Southmost College is the first community college in our great state of Texas to have this distinction. The team will be recognized at the TASPO Annual Conference on March 1st. And again, congratulations to the entire procurement team. Well done. Prior to the winter break on December 16th, TSC spread the holiday cheer in the community by visiting Bruce Aiken Elementary School as part of the college annual Angel Tree Toy Drive distribution. I want to thank trustees Aldrete and Sines for participating in the toy drive. I also want to thank the trustees, Student Life, TSC student, volunteers, and staff for another successful event. We distributed toys to nearly 300 pre-K through first grade students. The toys were donated by our TSC trustees, students, faculty, staff, administration, and community members during the month-long drive that began in November. I also met with the superintendents of school districts in our service area in December to discuss how TSC can best serve the needs of our students. Several topics were discussed, including dual credit, and we received valuable feedback that we can use to continue to enhance the partnerships we have with our local school district. One of the concerns they listed were their challenge in hiring substitute teachers, and I'm happy to report that our workforce training team quickly responded by creating a short short course for substitute teachers that began this month. Since that meeting, I visited with two of these superintendents to discuss how to strengthen our partnerships, including creating a greater access to online dual credit courses for students from smaller school districts where transportation is an issue. More recently, Point Isabel ISD Superintendent Capistran and several of her faculty were given a tour of the various workforce training programs at the iTech Center. They were excited about the many possibilities between TSC and our area school districts. I'm also happy to report that the Emergency Medical Service Program had a first-time pass rate of the fall 2021 EMT cohort of 83%. This is 13 points higher than the required average of 70%. These students' pass rates counts towards our state pass rates. Please help me congratulate the faculty and students for a great achievement. Well done. And again, in December, the Raul J. Guerra Early Childhood Center was recertified as a Texan Rising Star Child Care Center. The center continues to carry a 4-star rating, the highest measure for a TRS Child Care Center. The center is scored on 1, the director and staff qualifications and training, 2, the teacher-child interactions, 3, program administration, and 4, indoor and outdoor environment. The center also received a one-time $3,000 award to be used for equipment and materials. I appreciate Mrs. Nava's leadership and congratulate her and her team for a well-deserved work. Thank you so much. SAC-COC has approved our new program for Associate of Science in Engineering that is expected to be implemented in the fall of 2022. The program includes the first 2 years of a 4-year baccalaureate engineering program. The program will be housed in the Mathematics and Science Department within the Science, Technology, and Engineering Mathematics, or STEMS division. The program has already been approved by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. We look forward to recruiting and enrolling our first set of students into this new program in the fall of 2022. And thank you, Board of Trustees, for your continued support in approving our programs. TSC held the Spring 2022 convocation virtually on Monday, January the 10th. I want to thank our board chair, Mr. Ruben Herrera, for participating and providing our faculty and staff with some words of encouragement and inspiring during the opening of our spring convocation. I also want to thank Vice Chair Zavaleta, past Chair Ms. Garza, for also joining us when we kicked off the spring semester. We had 230 faculty and staff join us for this spring convocation that included presentations on county near enrollment, campus renovations, IT, and safety updates. Faculty and staff thoroughly enjoyed the 95th anniversary video. It received very positive feedback, with one employee actually recognizing her mother-in-law in one of the photos from the faculties of the 1960s. And that was pretty cool. TSC held a registration rally on January 12th. In addition to our extended hours that began on January 3rd, registration rally provided current and future TSC students an opportunity to go through the enrollment process, get advice, apply for financial aid, get registered, and become familiar with our programs, services, and resources. Meanwhile, we held extended hours from January 3rd through the 15th of this month to better serve our students by providing additional opportunities to register for this spring semester. I'm also happy to report that TSC received a $30,000 Texas Mutual Workforce Grant from RGV focused during a check presentation held January the 13th at the TSC Performing Arts Center lobby. The grant will fund faculty and student certifications in credit and non-credit workforce training programs offered at TSC. In addition, the donation will be used to host pop-up food pantries around campus for all students. And I keep telling them, TSC continues to shine. The sun always shines on TSC because on another note, and another very, very proud to report that Texas Southmost College is leading a Coastal Community College Workforce Training Consortium funded through a $1.8 million grant from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and Texas Southmost College, Houston Community College, and San Jacinto College will train in 9 industry-aligned college credentials in transportation, distribution, logistics, and information technology that supports our seaports, and aerospace industry. The Texas Reskill and Upskill for Education, or better known as the TRUE Grant program, is designed to accelerate workforce training credential opportunities urgently needed for economic recovery due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the future competitive workforce in Texas. I would like now to turn it over to Mr. David Tomlinson, who will provide an update on the activities of the TSC Foundation. Mr. Tomlinson.
Thank you, President Rodriguez. Good evening, Chair Herrera, Board of Trustees, and President Rodriguez. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give a brief review of the last month. I know that when we left, I'd given the presentation on last year, and we had an approximate amount of what was donated. Fortunately, I came back from the break, and we had three additional donations that had come in the amount of $2,000, $5,000, and then a $20 donation. So we did end up total raising in 2021 approximately $146,000 for scholarships from the foundation. So that was a good way to end the year. In addition to that, coming back from break, we already had a couple of checks that were already waiting for us as well from two other donors. And those were in the amounts of $5,000 and then another one for $20,000. And those were specifically for our workforce and training and continuing education department. So it's pretty awesome to be able to come back to that and start the year off with those donations. Yesterday, we held our first quarter TSC Foundation board meeting, and I'd like to briefly give you an overview of what happened during yesterday's meeting. We had some agenda items. The first one was we did an amendment to our bylaws, and in that, the first amendment that was a part of that 2.2 bylaw, which was on tenure and officers, the board actually did approve the increase of the number of Board of Trustees to be represented on the foundation board, and that went from 3 to 4. So there will be a total of 5 that would include President Rodriguez that would be on the Board of Trustees for the foundation. I'm sorry, the Board of Directors for the foundation. So, and then the other part of that was there was some term limits that needed to be adjusted, and so that was also approved yesterday. Any director that is coming in, or actually that it was a reappointment, if they were already a director, their next term would be for 3 years if they accepted such a nomination. And then any new director that we did get, that would be a 4-year term now. So we're looking at being able to stagger the years of service as they are on the board of directors. In addition, another item on the agenda was the appointment and reappointment, as I mentioned, of the directors, and there was 3 current directors that needed to be reappointed. That was Mr. Manny Casanova, Dr. Gustavo Stern, and Nick Shaw, which all accepted and were reappointed to the board for 3 years. And then there was a nomination and appointment of 2 new directors, which is Dr. Ruben Gallegos and Diana Castillo Chastain, and they will be serving 4-year term on their first term. In addition to, we had the student services update, which was given. I'm happy to report that as of yesterday, there's been a total of $131,000 in scholarships that have already been awarded from fall into the spring. I'd like to thank Interim VP of Student Services, Luis Villarreal, Interim Associate VP of Student Services, Oscar Hernandez, and also Executive Director Vanessa Vasquez, plus the entire Student Services team, because they just continue to do such great work, and their ability to get students awarded and to continue to assist in pushing for more applications to be awarded to our students. Following that, we had the workforce training update. Another point of pride for TSC, VP of Instruction, Dr. Kyle, and Associate VP of Workforce Training, Dr. Fleischman, plus their team, for the great work that they do in creating such wonderful programs that we're able to affect the future of not only that student, but their entire family. And as of yesterday, we're happy to report that a little over $100,000, actually $100,021, has been awarded over the last 4.5 months to our workforce training, and that affected 110 students. So those 2 are amazing updates, that over 200 students that have been affected by scholarships funded through the foundation. Finally, the Finance and Investment Committee reported through the advisors from Wells Fargo that aside from everything happening in the community and in our world, the foundation has maintained a positive manner based off of the investments. So this is all great news in the foundation's continued effort to help students from our community. As a future event, of course, as just a reminder that we have the Del Castillo Benefit Concert that will be happening on February the 12th. That is still a go. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. Showtime for that is going to be 8 p.m. So that's coming right around the corner. And then, of course, our Ruby Gala, which I believe you have in front of you a save the date card. It's a red card that is being copied, or actually, printed right now, so that we're going to be sending out to our vendors and also to our friends of TSC and to past donors. And I can tell you that as of today, with these cards that are still being printed, we've already got a commitment for a $2,500 table, and we've got 6 commitments on the $1,500 table. So we're definitely on our way to selling out the event, which we're looking forward to. It's going to have great food, live music, and auction items as we continue to raise funds for student scholarships. And this concludes my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tomlinson.
Mr. Chair, may I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tomlinson.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I want to thank you for the work that you've done.
Thank you.
But also, I want to talk about the 3 trustees that were, or directors that were reappointed, because they started with the foundation. And Manny Casanova has done a really good job. Nick Shaw is indispensable, and I don't know what we're going to do if he ever decides to step down. This is the finance whiz, and he's on top of things too, where the rest of the board don't have to worry about is Wells Fargo doing a good job, because he knows. And who else? And
Dr. Stern.
And Dr. Stern.
and Dr. Stern. And Dr. Stern started with the scholarship committee, and he's done an excellent job. So I'm happy that we reappointed those. On the other 2, I think they're a great addition to the board. But I want to thank you for holding it all together. And as we go and as you get reports, you realize we had nothing again. When we started with the foundation, we started with nothing. And we had to fight for the foundation. And we kind of got going, but this is the guy that has made it happen. And hopefully, once we get all the bylaws in order,
Yes, ma'am.
it'd be smooth sailing. But it's exciting, and I want to thank you and you for being part of the foundation in anything we do. And of course, you as well, Delia, because for the golf tournament, you were there, and you were there. And I think we need to get involved as a board at the foundation. But thank you, Mr. Tomlinson. You've done a great job.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
How long has the foundation been in existence?
What was the year? 1984. I sent you that article on the paper. Would you send it to us and then send it to the board, foundation
ma'am.
board,
Will
please?
do.
When the split, Ms. Science, UTB wanted to keep the $12 million that were in the coffers, and we had to sue, Frank had to sue them to keep that money. It was a hard fight. So thanks to Mr. Perez, thanks to Ms. Garza, we were able to keep the monies and the foundation. They didn't want to give up the monies. We got them, and we have them, and they're benefiting Texas Southmost College students. Students are students, but the monies were meant for Texas Southmost College students, and that's what they're serving right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, with the chair's permission, the trustees, I would like to show this month's events reel.
Each Steel Coast employee, regardless of current position, will be afforded various forms of enhanced training that will not only benefit Steel Coast, but more importantly, the employee.
Together, we are changing lives, and I'm proud to be a part of this board that totally supports all these endeavors.
The great team at Texas Southmost College, the leadership with the trustees. I mean, we have awarded millions since Dr. Rodriguez has stepped foot on that campus.
They can do anything that they can do on a human, but we can control the environment so when they go out into hospitals, they're more competent, they feel safer.
We're very happy, we're very proud to invest this money in our community workforce.
We're providing a workforce that is very capable. They're going to hit the ground running.
Thank you for allowing us to help in shaping how you shaped the minds and the providers of healthcare in our community.
I have a child, so I want to give her that example that she can do anything she wants, and I want to be that example for my daughter.
Establish a set of values and make a plan and stick to it so that you will be successful in your life's work.
On behalf of the Texas Southmost College Board of Trustees, I congratulate you.
I congratulate you for your persistence, and I thank you for showing the world what it means to be scorpion strong.
13 years ago exactly, I was supposed to graduate and walk the stage like you. So this commencement is extra special to me because in a way, it's my graduation ceremony too.
La verdad me siento muy emocionada. No me da pena decir mi edad, tengo 47 años y regresé a estudiar después de más de 20 años fuera de la escuela. Me siento súper orgullosa de mí misma.
Commencement never gets old.
Nope.
That's what we work for, and it's a beautiful event. So I can't thank everyone enough for all their efforts and commitment as we finish another productive and successful 2021, and I'm looking forward to an amazing spring 2022. Thank you so much. This concludes my report.
Thank you so much, President Rodriguez. Next item on the agenda is consideration and possible action on the minutes of the following meetings. Regular meeting of December 16th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
So move it be approved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Academic Committee. I'll call on Mr. J.J. De Leon to present the item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Academic Committee met on Tuesday, January 11, 2022. Present were Ms. Adela Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and college legal counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 7A, consideration and possible action on approval of Cisco equipment purchase for the new cybersecurity program. I will call on Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Academic Success, and Dr. Musalin, Dean of Science Technology, Engineer, and Mathematics to present the item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, what you have before you is a request to purchase equipment for our newest cybersecurity program. This is through our DIR Purchasing Cooperative, and the purchase will be made from CDWG, if approved by the board. It should be noted that this funding is from our Carl Perkins budgeted funds.
Any questions? Anybody has any questions? Okay. I move to approve the purchase of the Cisco equipment in the total amount of $31,000 from CDW-G through DIR TSO 4167 contract, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Second item, consideration and possible action on approval of tools and supply purchase for the new diesel engine technology program. I will call Dr. Kyle and Dr. Flashman to present this item.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. The item you have before you is for our diesel engine technology program under the auspices of our continuing education department. This is specifically for tools and supplies for this program, and will be purchased with our true grant funds that have already been approved by the state.
Any questions? No. I so move to approve purchase of tools and supplies in the total amount of $55,700 from MSC Industrial Supply Corporation through the Local Government Purchasing Cooperative by Board contract, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase and order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second that.
There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
This concludes my items, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Next item is item number 8, Finance Committee. I'll call on Ms. Garza to present the item.
The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022. Present was Zeba Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, and TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. We listened. And I'll start with 8A, Annual Financial Report Audit for Texas Southmost College District for fiscal year ending August 31st, 2021. And I'll call Dr. Figueroa and Ms. Pesero to present the item.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you, you have the item that we'll be presenting, which is our annual financial report, our AFR, and the audit. With us, we have Mr. Albert Vera. He was the lead auditor for this year from Cascos and Associates to do our audit and review of our financial statements. He will be presenting the report. You have with you your AFR book and financial audit. He'll be going over those. One thing to note is I just want to make sure that you know that every year we have somebody different looking at our books, even though it's still Cascos and Associates, our auditing firm. We have a different lead auditor, and this year was Mr. Vera, and he will be presenting the audit.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Alfred Vera, and I'm representing Cascos and Associates. I was the lead auditor this year, and I would like to thank you all for having Cascos and Associates as your external auditors, and I would also like to thank Mr. Carlos Pecero and his team for all the help that they have provided by providing all the information that we needed in a timely manner, which made us performing the audit a lot easier and more efficient. If we will turn to page 1 of the audit report, you will find the independent auditor's report. For those that may not be familiar with what an audit is or what is done, is we pull samples, we review different supporting documentations based on the scope of the audit. We then form an opinion by what we test, and we provide the opinion to you all in the report. Now, TSC this year has earned an unmodified opinion. Now, why do I say earned? Because we do not give that opinion. It is earned by the work that is done here, and I want to congratulate TSC for earning that unmodified opinion. That is a clean opinion, and that is the best opinion that you can get on an audit. So congratulations, TSC and Mr. Pecero's team for the work that they have done. Now, if we will turn to page 3 of the report, you will see the management discussion and analysis. This here provides a little bit more summary of what has transpired, and it will compare to prior year as well. Now, if you'll turn with me to page 14, which is Exhibit 1. This is the statement of net position, and it has comparative data for 2021 and 2020. TSC this year had total assets at August 31st, 2021 of $220,443,048. They also had liabilities of $84,816,950 and an overall total net position of $139,898,791, of which $23,842,184 is unrestricted. And that'll be towards the bottom of page 14, or as you see on the screen, the unrestricted amount. The unrestricted net position can be used for anything that the college decides to use. We recommend that this be used for one-shot items and not be used for operations. The reason we do not recommend for it to be used for operations is because eventually that will run out. So you can use it to buy equipment or make improvements to buildings, things like that. Please keep this number in mind because I will speak to it in a bit as well. If you'll turn to the next page, page 15, this is Exhibit 2. And it's a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. Operating revenues for the year ended August 31st, 2021 was $20,372,119. The total operating expenses was $63,852,100. And then there was non-operating revenues of $49,072,308 for an overall increase in net position of $5,592,327. Now, I mentioned the unrestricted balance of the, next slide over.
Page 14.
One.
23 million.
23 something.
No.
Yes, the unrestricted of 23,842,000. If we take that number, I'm sorry, if we take your operating expenses of 63,852,100, and we divide that by 365, there we go. We get $174,937. That is the daily operating expenses for the college. That is what it costs to open your doors each and every day. Now, if we take your unrestricted net position of $23,842,184, and we divide it by the daily operating expenses of $174,937, you get 136 days of operation. Should the college not receive any more money coming in, they will be able to operate for 136 days. We normally recommend 60 to 90 days, so TSC is in a very healthy position. Congratulations on that as well.
We started with 100 and some days, almost 300 days. Come on.
That's not called.
And finally, if you'll turn to page 66 of the report.
Page what, 66?
66, yes, ma'am. You will find the independent auditor's report on compliance for major federal and state programs and on internal controls and compliance required by the uniform guidance of the state of Texas. We go through, this is the single audit that we must do for all the federal programs and the state programs. And again, TSC has earned an unmodified opinion. So congratulations as well. That concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Why are we better off this year if we had, last year, in 2020, we had $40 million in unrestricted funds, and now we have 23. And why are we 43 million in operating losses? Questions?
But I don't think he can answer that question. Your president can answer that question.
It's, the way it's called, it's non-operating losses, but it's not losses, it's the expenses. Last year, you're right, we have a decrease in fund balance going to 23 million, but the board has also invested 24 million. The change in net position, as you can see on Exhibit 2, towards the bottom of the page where it says increase, decrease of net position.
Yes.
That is how much we accumulated in excess of what was spent. So not we just completed the whole year with the budgeted expenses, but in addition, we added to that $5.5 million. So that's why we're better off. Even though the board has been investing 24 million in construction and programs, we've been able to even recapture that $5.5 million to make it 23. If not, it will be the 40 minus the 24 million spent. And that's how you can represent on the total revenue, the $69 million.
I would have had 16.
Just a little, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, just to add a little bit more info on your question regarding operating expenses, non-operating expenses. The standards that we follow to present this report needs to be uniform across all community colleges in the state of Texas. So they require us to break out operating revenue and non-operating revenue. That's why on Exhibit 2, we're forced to show that number you pointed out, sir, but immediately following, we have non-operating revenue that well offsets that amount.
Okay.
Is there any questions?
Thank you. This was an information item only.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes, sir.
She's the chair.
Gisela, what do we call those funds, those federal funds that we received? Remember when I asked?
CARES.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, sir.
The federal funds that we received?
CARES Act.
CARES Act.
Okay. I would like to address a question to the gentleman. A couple of months ago, I asked whether or not those funds should be included in the audit and the regular bookkeeping operations, and I was told that they did not. And is that correct?
They're not included in the budget.
We don't include it in
Oh,
Fund
in the
1.
budget.
It's on the restricted fund budget, not on the regular operating.
Okay, yes, that's not part of the operating. It's on the restricted, but it is accounted for in here. And that is something that we audited in the single audit section of the audit.
Okay,
So,
all
yes.
right, just so they are audited, you audited them?
Yes, sir.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much.
Yes, the CARES program did need to be audited because of the high risk
Well,
that was
that's what I-
associated with
That's
it.
what I thought.
I'm sorry?
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir. And the mandate put out by the federal government was that we did need to audit the CARES because of the higher risk with it. So yes, that was
Thank you
audited.
Thank you very much. I'm satisfied.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. 8B Annual Investment Report for fiscal year that ended 2021, and I'll call Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Pizarro to present the item.
Thank you. Good evening again. Before you, you have our annual investment report. Every year, the board must be presented with the annual investment report. We do it in conjunction with our annual financial statement in our audit. So this item will be presented by Mr. Pizarro, and basically it's a recap as of August 31st, 2021, which is the end of our fiscal year 21.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, I have for you, as Dr. Figueroa mentioned, our annual investment report for fiscal year 2021. And the report spans 2 pages, and the majority of the information is concentrated in 4 categories. And I'll briefly go over those categories for us here. Towards the top of the report, we have our publicly traded investment section, which has $200,000 in this category. On the second page of the report, towards the bottom, we have subtotals for each of the areas that include our public funds. So we have categories for CDs, for our investment pool logic, which can be found here, for our bank deposits, which are here. And so those respective amounts are reported here, the 7 million, 42 million, 35 million, for a grand total of 85 million. This report matches the culmination of the 4 quarterly reports that we have presented to you in the prior meetings. This report is one of those that is required by the Public Funds Investment Act. We're required to present it to the board, and after presentation, we post it on our website to meet the requirements of that act. So this is presented in that fashion for your information. If there's any questions, I'd like to try and answer those.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, do you have any questions?
No?
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No. Okay, that's just for information also. And we'll move on to Institutional CARES Act Expenditure Report. Dr. Figueroa?
What are the investment?
I'm sorry?
Do we go to the quarters? Do we skip the investment?
I think there's one more quarterly investment report.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Go ahead. First quarter investment report. ¿Ves cuál estamos? Acá.
Oh, I thought we were on 8C.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
This is, the prior report was the annual investment report.
And this is for, okay.
And this is the first
That's what it
quarter.
is,
So
okay.
the other one covers all the culmination of the fiscal year on its own.
Yeah.
And then this is the first quarter for fiscal year '22. It just happens to coincide at the same time. So this report timeframe covers from September of '21 to November. So it's the first quarter of our fiscal year. And just as a reminder, our fiscal year runs from September through August. So Mr. Pacero will present this for you. This is in the normal format that we present the investment report to you. The prior report is in the format that the state requires for the annual investment report. The names are very similar, that's why it got confusing.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa.
Sorry, I tried.
No, and this report format is what you're accustomed to seeing. And when I present this report to the board, I primarily concentrate my presentation on this table that's here at the top. So this table will recap the subtotals for all the detail that are on the following 5 pages. So whether it's a bank account or something in a certificate of deposit or invested with Logic, we have the detail for each line showing the carrying value, the interest that was earned, the rate of return, all that information. And then we simply take that data and summarize it up at the top in terms of carrying values. So I'll concentrate my presentation here, like I mentioned. So we do have 2 columns on that table. I included the prior quarter for comparative purposes, but really what we're starting with is the first quarter for fiscal year '22. And as Dr. Figueroa mentioned, it starts September 1st and it runs through November 30th of 2021. And we can see the different categories there. The current funds, our loan funds, our endowment funds, our plant funds, and our agency funds. So those respective amounts can be seen here with that total. And this format is also dictated by the Public Funds Investment Act. We're required to present it to the board on a quarterly basis and then put it on our website and all that good stuff. So we're presenting it in that fashion to the board as an information item. And if there's any questions, I'd like to try and answer those at this time.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Now we go to 8D, which is first quarter investment report for fiscal year 2022.
That was the first one. And now the CARES.
It's that last one, E.
What?
Right? What's next? The CARES Act?
No, the investment report.
That's what we
That's
just,
the quarterly investment.
We did the quarterly, they skipped
What did we skip?
what I said. They
C.
skipped C. The monthly financial statement report for the month ended November
the
30th.
financials, yeah, we skipped the financials.
That one is the one that we skipped. We were right.
Yes.
Because I check off.
This is what I,
What we've
This is
reviewed.
what I called, and this is what you presented.
Yes.
My apologies.
We presented the 2 investment reports. We skipped on the monthly financials.
Yes.
Don't confuse me. I already saw this once, so it all makes sense, right?
Okay. All the numbers get me too excited, Madam Chair.
Ay, Dios mío.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, for the final report I'll be presenting to the board tonight. This is our monthly financial statement report
Yes.
for the month of January. So this covers January 1, I'm sorry, not January. I'm skipping ahead already. Too excited.
November.
November. I'll take any month at this moment.
We're used to approving POs.
I think we're gonna pick a month or we're gonna go with it.
Rain fog.
So this is just November.
Yes.
For the financial statement.
Okay.
Not investment. This is
Not
financial
investment.
statements of November.
Mr. Pacero, when I call on something, present what I call on.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Will do. So, all righty, back to business. On this report, we cover 3 funds that we adopt a budget for, and we recap by object code each of the revenue line items and expenditure line items that occurred in the month of November. So I'll primarily concentrate my presentation on this column, which is for the month of November. And so we'll begin with the first fund, which is education and general. On this slide, we have total revenue for the month of November, $10,455,112. On the following slide is where the expenditures categories begin. So we start with a subtotal for the salary and wages category, which is 1.4 million, followed by the benefits subtotal, which is 387,000. On the next slide is where our M&O category begins. That goes through this slide, on through the next, and then concludes here on this slide. And our M&O total for general fund is 800,000 for the month of November. If we move on to the next categories, still in general fund, we have a subtotal at the top of the slide for travel, and then another subtotal for our general institution category, 118,000 in that category. We move on to the last area for general fund. We have our scholarship information at the top of the slide. We have our expenditures related to any budget amendments, 600,000. And then we have a subtotal for all of general fund expenditures, 3.3 million for the month of November. So that covers revenue and expenditures for general fund. We're moving on to the second fund, which is auxiliary. And in the auxiliary fund, this slide covers total revenue in the month of November, 162,000. On the following slide is where the expenditures categories are covered. We have a subtotal for salaries and wages, 118,000, and then a subtotal for benefits, 29,000. Move on to the following slide. We have the M&O category and auxiliary fund. And so this goes on through this slide, and its subtotals here in the middle, 56,000 for the month of November. And then finally, we have travel subtotal and a expenditures and transfers subtotal for all of auxiliary fund, 205,000. So that's revenue and expenditures for the auxiliary fund. And the final fund that I'll cover is our general obligation and revenue bond funds. We do have a subtotal for revenue, the month of November, 2.3 million, and that is all the revenue primarily concentrated in tax collections. And in the expenditures area, we do not have any expenses in the month of November, as our debt service payments normally occur in February and in August. So those are the three funds that we cover revenue and expenditures for. The remaining categories are our health benefits detail that we have for general fund, 500,000, and auxiliary, which is 41,000. Those are for that same period for November. And the final section of the report, Mr. Chairman, is the debt service tables. Those are unchanged from the prior presentation of the report, and they are where I will end my presentations. If there's any questions, I'd like to take the opportunity to try and answer those, Mr. Chairman.
Now that you confused us totally, we don't have any questions. This was for information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, don't go away, because we've got one last one.
One last one.
Yes.
CARES. Institutional CARES expenditures reports.
Now it's the CARES.
Now, finally.
For this month, the additional expenses from CARES that we had this month was $91,096. It was a slow month, short month of December. The detail of those $91,000 is detailed for you, all the items that got purchased through the CARES fund. There any questions?
You know, it was really exciting when we were doing our committee meeting, and Dr. Calla was asking for $33,000. We were going, is that all? We've been spending millions. And then another one for $55,000. Is that all?
You know, you get used to living beyond your means very fast. Is that all?
Is that all? We needed it, and we're doing good. So anyway, thank you so much. That concludes my report.
Before we move on, I'd like to make a comment.
I'd like to thank Mr. Pecero and Dr. Figueroa for an excellent job that they do. It astounds me every time that we have a question that they have an answer. And I think that they're to be commended for everything that they do. I was very impressed with all the investments that have been done and that you're on top of that because I think that it's done very well. So thank you.
Thank you. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Ms. Garza. Next item is Facilities Committee. I'll call on Ms. Sines to present the item.
The Facilities Committee met via Zoom on Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. Present were Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, and members of the TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 9A, consideration and possible action on award RFQ 22-07 for architectural engineering services for construction of a new thermal plant. I'd like to call on Dr. Gisela Figueroa and Mr. Jaime Salazar to present these items.
Thank you, Ms. Sines. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you have consideration and possible action on the RFQ for 2207 for architectural engineering services for the construction of a new thermal plant. Mr. Jaime Salazar will be presenting this item.
Good evening, Chairman Herrera, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez. We're showing you the RFQ timeline for this RFP. Started back in November, December, as we published on the TSC website. Through December and January, we had the RFQ submissions and evaluations, and through today, January 20th, as we're proposing to you all. The RFQ scope of work to select the architectural and engineering services for the construction of a new thermal plant to provide chilled water to parts of the Fort Brown campus. The selected firm must provide designs, specs, specifications, and construction administration for the new construction and possible future expansion, as well as a recommendation for the actual plant location to improve existing conditions that better reflect a solid investment for the college. The architectural and engineering services will actually be providing us the schematic design, the design development, the construction documents, bidding and negotiation processes, and the construction administration, meaning the project management as well. The RFQ evaluation committee included Mr. Carlos Pecero, Mr. Mascoro, myself, Ms. Marcela Juarez, Dr. Abu Salim, and Mr. Tom Tynan. You can see here the RFQ evaluation scores, highlighted from the top to bottom are in chronological order. Highest score at the top. This is the criteria, basic standard criteria that we've followed. You can see the identified locations on the left and the specific consideration factors on the right. This expense will be coming from the approved budget for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Any questions? Okay, I move to award RFQ 22-07 for architectural engineering services for construction of new thermal plant to Gomez Mendez Signs, Inc., and authorize President Rodriguez to negotiate and execute the contract to prepare construction documents in accordance to the request for competitive sealed proposals, RFP, project delivery method permitted under Government Code 2269.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, 9B, consideration and possible action to contract renewal for property and casualty insurance for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. I call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Jaime Salazar to present.
Thank you, ma'am. Before you have the consideration to award the second renewal to our property and casualty insurance, originally bidded through RFP 2009. Mr. Salazar will present the item.
Chairman, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez, thank you again. We'll go right into the RFP timeline. As you can see, we initiated this on January 24th. I'm sorry. In the middle of the section there is when we're actually today providing the initial proposal, as was awarded through 20-09. The risk management portion of this means the outline of all of the liabilities. So we're looking at building and contents as far as coverage goes. Give a list there. Through liability, this is the main general liability and personal injury liability, the automobile and mobile equipment, and then obviously the physical damage in and of itself. So this is a full coverage of the policy and what it includes. The budget and financial impact, through Task B Risk Management Fund, through RFP 20-09, the original expense was $379,991. There is an increase that we have seen as we talked to the vendor and we talked about this. It's the basic increase that's happened throughout because of everything that's been going on throughout the country. So that's the increase on that one, through $417,990.
What has been going on?
Projected, I'm sorry, yes. It is projected because as we get closer to the actual bid itself, it'll land on a closer number. I believe it's at 30 days out that they give us the actual number.
And this does include the wind and storm and all?
No, ma'am, that does not include the wind and storm and hail. That'll be separate.
For our wind insurance, it's out on bid as we speak.
It's out on bid.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Any more questions?
Yes, I have a question. Who currently carries this insurance for us?
TSC.
The same one.
Okay, it's separate, as you just said, from the windstorm.
Yes, sir. This is just property and casualty. It does not include wind. That is separate. That one is out on bid. This one is through TSC.
Okay.
And it's a renewal of, the second renewal in that contract. It was originally RFP 2009.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions, I move to approve the annual contract for property and casualty insurance with TSB Risk Management Fund through RFP 20-09 for fiscal year 2021-2022.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Item 9C, facilities update. I call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Salazar to present this item.
Thank you, Ms. Science. The next item is our facilities update on the different projects that we have around campus. Mr. Salazar will give us a brief overview of all those projects that we have going on.
And again, thank you again for the opportunity. As we start off with the iTech JCPenney roof renovation project update, this is a great one for me here today, that it is completed. It is done, yes. Now, I'll expound on this a little bit because I know it came up in committee. This is about a fourth of the entire roof that had the major issues. That's what's been completed on this. So it's about a fourth of the entire square footage that's actually been completed. The rest is fine. It's not having any leaks at this point, but that's the part that was involved in this project. So I just wanted to clarify that. In the iTech Dillard's roof renovations project update, again, the asbestos cleaning on the second floor is complete. The interior demolition does continue, and we're still on track for May 2022 based on the initial projection dates that we received. On the campus parking lot improvements project update, again, the engineer construction design plans and specs are about 85% complete, and we're still in line to be done, or the RFP to be released by February 2022. TSC Courtroom Criminal Justice Program project as well continues. The plans are being finalized for permit submission. The RFP for the courtroom furniture has been advertised, and we're waiting for the quotes for the courtroom furniture and the millwork to be completed. The emergency repairs at Fort Brown Chillers at the Fort Brown thermal plant, the repair is complete. As we had advised, the inspection was done in December, and the report with the findings has been sent back to the inspector. We're waiting on the final report to come back to us. Oliveira second floor existing restroom remodel, as well unveiled. It is complete. It's really well. We've walked this out several times. They did a really good job. We're really excited about this, and we're up and running.
But is there still a restroom section that needs to be complete?
Yes, the new restrooms towards the back end, that is still pending, yes. Okay. This is the existing work that we had upgraded.
Thank you.
Dr. Rodriguez, will the second floor be open to the students when they come back?
Partial, yes.
Partial?
Yes.
Will it be ready for the gala?
Yes.
Yes. No, for the gala, it's ready. It's the additional restrooms that are being added on the far side of Oliveira. That's under construction. Facilities did a good job to kind of wall it off to secure the construction side of it, but everything else will be operational by January 31st when the students come back.
Is the snack bar going to be open?
Is it what?
The restaurant, snack bar.
Cafeteria.
Whatever cafeteria, the hole in the wall.
It's
the greasy-
amazing what a
The greasy
cafeteria
spoon.
The UMix.
The UMix.
The UMix.
Some UMix deli.
Yes, sir. As you might recall, last board meeting, that contract was awarded to UMix. We've been in communication with Mr. Escudero. There is some things he's requesting to be done before he can be operational, because he also has to request a permit from the city that we have to meet before they let him bring food onto campus. So we're working on that with him.
Will it be open by January 31st?
No, sir.
No? How long?
No, it depends on the amount of requirements that he needs to meet to get the permit from the city. So it might be maybe a couple of months before that. We're still, there is a grease trap that is there that is for 20 gallons. There is some equipment, but we don't know yet if they're gonna require a new Ansel system and a bigger grease trap. So that's what we're trying to clarify as we speak. We're in constant communication with him to get it open as soon as possible.
And are we still going to have a red ribbon cutting for that floor? No. Dr. Rodriguez, I had the administrators from BISD, we leased or rented that space.
Facility.
And they were amazed. And when they got up to the second floor, they couldn't believe it looks like now, from what they remember. So, and
What I
Claudia
can-
was very instrumental in making sure that everything ran smoothly. It did. Thank you so much for your assistance. So, are we going to have a ribbon
Yes.
cutting eventually?
Yes.
We are.
Yes. The answer is yes. But we'd like to do like the grand opening for everything when it's
When
fully
it's all
operational.
completed.
Thank you.
Maybe when UMix is there already too, to showcase it.
You mix?
And people buy food from there. Or we offer food from there.
Any more questions, comments?
Concerns?
This item was for information purposes only. No action is required, and this concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Sines. Next item is item number 10, the Policy Committee. I'll call on Ms. Alejandro to present the item.
About 40
The
of
Policies Committee met via Zoom on Tuesday, January 12, 2022. Present was Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel and Board Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items: consideration and possible action on CAK local appropriations and revenue sources and investments. And I'll call on Mr. Rubén Peña to present this item.
Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, you have in front of you CAK Local, which is you're required to review your investment policies annually, and this is our opportunity to do so. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. So CAK Local, you have already designated Dr. Figueroa as your Vice President of Finance Administration to be your investment officer. That's the first paragraph. The second paragraph is your approved investment instruments. You'll see there 9 points. Those are all considered to be the safest investments, and they're required by our government code, by law. those are the things that you can invest in. And those are the ones that you, in fact, you had the report today, which is, kind of ties in with reviewing this policy as well as your audit and the financial investment report that you received earlier today. So the primary goal, as you can see, is to make sure that your investments are safe. That ties in with the government code and where you can put those investments. You can't put them in anything that's risky. It has to be safe. It has to be approved. And so they have very rigid requirements to make sure that there is no collusion, that there's no skullduggery, that there isn't anything under the table. So the other thing that is required under this policy is that they be liquid and that their maturity be sufficient to meet your anticipated needs of the college. Diversity, you can't have it all in one pot. It's got to be spread out in different areas. Keep it in mind, those areas that we've outlined already in those 9 points. And when you look at your investments, the ones that you've gotten reported on, you will see that that's exactly what's going on. That your investment officer makes sure that those are diversified amongst very safe investment strategies. So the funds and the strategies are the ones that keep making you income and making sure that they're in safe and guaranteed investments over a period of time. So you have on the page 3 of 7, those are the 4 funds that we look to make sure that you have funds invested in those kinds of areas, so that if the college needs any of those funds to pay those expenses, you're going to have them available to you. Safekeeping in custody is a very important thing. The college, your investment officer makes sure that she has documentation as to the ownership of those investments. And she keeps a close eye on those. Collateralization, that means that the funds that we provide or people of management are being collateralized. And that's another requirement under state law. And the percentage is at least 102%. And that's on page 4 of 7. I'll move on to page 5 of 7 and briefly just say that the highlight on that one is the competitive environment. In other words, we got to make sure that the people that we are providing these funds to are competitive. In other words, we can't have a brother-in-law situation. We can't have a compadre. We've got to make sure that we solicit, for example, CDs that are competitive. Internal controls, which is on page 6 of 7. We have those systems in control. As a matter of fact, with the report, your audit report is a key to that as well. And these controls are reviewed by the independent auditing firm, which you just heard from. So you can see how all this ties in today. And the last one is the annual audit. You've had that performed to you today. That concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I have a question.
If there are any questions, I might add that you also have a CAK legal, if you should ever desire to see how those two match.
So did anything change prior to this board policy? Has anything changed other than that you just had to go and, right? It stays the same from like prior?
Yes.
It maintains the same.
Okay.
The purpose of this is that you're required to annually review this policy.
Thank
And
you.
this is the policy review that
Thank
we
you,
just
Mr.
had.
Peña. Appreciate it.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I move that we acknowledge the annual review of CAK local appropriations and revenue sources / investments.
I second that.
There's a motion to acknowledge. Is that a correct statement?
Correct. Yes, sir.
There's a motion to acknowledge the legal review. Is there a second?
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you so very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment, if I may, for the record and for the minutes. The Student Services Committee did not meet this month because there were no items to be taken up. But I want to make sure that's on the record, in case somebody might ask someday.
It's well noted.
Excuse me?
Well noted.
Thank you.
Next item is item number 11, executive session. The board will now convene an executive session as provided by Government Code, Chapter 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We're not in executive. We're back from executive session. Any motions on items, on issues on executive session?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move that the TSC Board approve the salary schedule for the fiscal year 2021-2022 as discussed in executive session.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, announcement of next meetings. The next meeting dates are regular board meeting, Thursday, February 24th, 2022 at 5:30, and regular board meeting, Thursday, March 24th, 2022 at 5:30.
It's Charo Days? Are we on a float that day?
What? September?
On Thursday.
Of February?
Yeah, we can't have a meeting if we're in the parade. We can have a meeting during shower days.
I didn't set this up.
Can we do it like on Wednesday?
I did not set this up.
On Wednesday?
But I'm calling it to your attention.
It's Noche Mexicana.
Right, so we can have the board meeting the Thursday before Child Day?
No, Char Day starts with the children's parade is on Thursday,
Okay. Noche
Correct.
Mexicana.
correct?
So we're going to leave it like that?
Parades start on Thursday. That's BISD. We don't come out. I have it here. Noche Mexicana, Thursday, February 28th, featuring some mariachis. And then
We could do the
from 6.
previous Thursday or the following Thursday. Take your pick.
17?
17?
The 17th?
We can't do it on Wednesday, the 23rd?
We can do it on Wednesday. We can do whatever you want.
The Wednesday.
Yeah, we can do the Wednesday,
I would say Wednesday.
the 23rd.
We go to all these events.
Do you want to make a motion to change this to
We need a motion.
the February 23rd date?
It needs to be a motion? I make a motion to change the regular board meeting schedule for Thursday, February 24th to Wednesday, February 23rd at 5:30 PM.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We just changed the board meeting. Item 14, adjournment.
I so move.
We adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, aye,
All
aye.
those opposed? We're adjourned.